What if I told you a city overflowing with beauty, luxury, and prosperity vanished in a single morning? They had everything: wealth, power, fertile lands, and freedom to do whatever they pleased. But behind the luxury was a people so corrupt, their cries reached the heavens, and God came down, not with an army, not with a flood, but with fire. This is not just a story of destruction. It's a story of judgment, mercy, of warning, and of a man who dared to ask God, "Will you really destroy the righteous with the wicked?" But before the fire fell, before the sky turned to flame, heaven listened. God remembered Abraham, and in mercy, he pulled one family from the fire. A story of destruction? Yes, but also a story of hope for those who trust in God's mercy. This is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Long ago, in the ancient lands of Canaan, two cities stood tall in the valley of the Jordan, Sodom and Gomorrah. Fertile and wealthy, the cities were lush, like the garden of the Lord, full of life and abundance, and travelers spoke of their luxury. But beneath their riches and beauty, darkness festered. These were cities without fear of God. Their people had turned from righteousness and justice. Violence, pride, and cruelty became their way of life. Their streets echoed with mockery and lust, not with songs of praise. They rejected the stranger. They oppressed the defenseless. They delighted in sin and called it freedom. The prophet Ezekiel would later write of them, "Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. They were haughty and did detestable things before me. Therefore, I did away with them as you have seen." Even the angels in heaven heard the cries, the pain, the injustice, the oppression. And so, Yahweh came down to see it for himself. One hot afternoon, Abraham sat by the entrance of his tent in the oak groves of Mamre. As he looked up, he saw three men standing nearby. These were not ordinary travelers. They were messengers from heaven. One was the Lord himself in human form. The other two were angels. Abraham rose instantly, as if something in his spirit knew these were no ordinary travelers. He ran to meet them and bowed low to the ground and said, "My Lord, if I have found favor in your eyes, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way." The three men agreed, and Abraham rushed to prepare a feast: fresh bread, curds, milk, and a choice calf. He stood by them as they ate, honored to serve these heavenly guests. After they finished the meal, the Lord turned to Abraham and spoke. "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great. Their sin is very grievous. I will go down to see whether they have done all that has been reported. If not, I will know." As the angels went ahead, Abraham stood before the Lord, and he did something bold, something only a man who truly knows God would dare. He stepped forward and pleaded. "My Lord," Abraham began humbly, "will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked?" He pleaded, "Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you still destroy it?" Abraham said, his voice trembling with courage and reverence, "To kill the righteous with the wicked, treating them alike. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord replied, "If I find 50 righteous people in Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Abraham grew bolder. "What if there are 45 or 40, 30, 20? Each time, the Lord answered patiently, "For their sake, I will not destroy it." Finally, Abraham said, "Let me speak once more. What if only 10 are found there?" The Lord said, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." Abraham dared not ask for more. Then the Lord departed, and Abraham returned to his tent. his heart heavy, hoping there were at least 10 righteous souls in the city. The sun lowered in the sky. The two angels approached the gates of Sodom, and the hour of judgment crept closer.
By the way, if you find any of these videos interesting, meaningful, or enjoyable, please consider subscribing. These take a long time to make, and it really helps out. And if you love what we're doing and want to go a step further, you can now become a channel member. Your support helps us reach more people with God's Word through powerful animation. Just click join and be part of the mission.
As night fell over Sodom, the two angels arrived at the city gates. There sat Lot, Abraham's nephew, in the gateway of the city. He had chosen to live in Sodom years earlier, drawn by its wealth and fertile plains, despite its reputation for wickedness. When Lot saw the visitors, he rose and bowed low.
"My lords,"
he said,
"please come to your servant's house and spend the night. Wash your feet and rise early to continue your journey."
The angels said,
"No, we will spend the night in the square."
but Lot insisted urgently. He knew what the city was capable of. He knew what happened in the city square at night. The streets were not safe, not for travelers, not even for the innocent. Eventually they agreed, and he brought them into his home and prepared a feast. But before they had gone to bed, a terrible sound echoed through the streets. Men of Sodom, young and old from every part of the city, surrounded the house. They beat on the door and shouted,
"Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out so we may know them!"
Their demand was not about hospitality. It was a violent, immoral demand. The phrase "to know them" in this context was a euphemism for sexual assault, an expression of Sodom's depravity and humiliation of outsiders. Lot rushed outside and shut the door behind him.
"Please, my brothers, do not do this wicked thing,"
he begged. But then, in a moment that has troubled readers for centuries, Lot made a horrifying offer.
"I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do as you please with them. But do nothing to these men. They are under my roof."